What Today with Mark Sutcliffe returns on 1310 News and simulcast on Rogers TV.
Cannabis is about to become legal in Canada. What does that mean? What steps need to be taken to make sure things go smoothly? Raf Souccar is the CEO of Aleafia Health, a medicinal cannabis company, former deputy commissioner of the RCMP, and was also appointed to the Trudeau government's task force on legalization. Raf Souccar, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon, Mark. Thanks for having me on.
What do we need to get right now that it is going to become legal? Now that the legislation has passed, what are the steps we need to take now to make sure things go well?
Well,
it's a big question, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, Mark. What we need to get right is everything because the world is watching. The eyes of the world are on Canada. We're going to be, other than Uruguay, we're going to be the only country in the world that is legalizing cannabis coast to coast as a country, unlike what you see in the States where it is being done state by state, with I believe 9 or 10 states legalizing it recreationally and some 20-odd states medicinally. So which comes with a lot of problems, as you know. So the eyes of the world are on us. We need to get it right. Everything from the retail sale, the taxation, getting criminal organizations out of the black market, out of the cannabis world. There's lots of things to do.
Are there lessons from those other jurisdictions?
Well, absolutely. In the United States, for example, as I mentioned, with it being federally illegal, however, it's legal in certain states, what they've created is a gray market. So there is the interstate transportation of cannabis from a legal state to an illegal state to be sold illegally.
Do you think that there will be enough retail outlets at the outset to dramatically curb the black market in Canada, or is that going to persist for some time?
So there is a gap for sure, especially in Ontario, with the size and population of Ontario that's going to exist. But what consumers of cannabis need to keep in mind is the safety of the product they're buying. When they buy it from a licensed retail outlet, whether it's government retail outlet or a private retail outlet that is licensed, what they're getting is quality controlled cannabis that is grown by a licensed producer authorized by Health Canada, knowing that there are no pesticides or contaminants in the cannabis. They know exactly what they're getting. You buy it in an alley from some drug dealer, you don't know what it contains, what it's been sprayed with.
I just wonder, though, how many people who are currently purchasing cannabis from someone and smoking it recreationally are going to switch to buying it from a government store if it's not convenient to them.
That may be an issue, Mark, for sure. And I think this is where the education and the awareness comes in. And it's something that we had asked for in our report from the task force to government, is to ensure that there is plenty of education and awareness so that the consumers know exactly what they're doing and what they're getting.
There's been a lot of emphasis recently on impaired driving. Do you think that the risk of that goes up dramatically if the product is legal, or is it going to stay at about the same rate as now? Because, of course, there are people, even with cannabis being an illegal product, who are consuming it and then driving a car.
I think what you said at the end is absolutely right, Mark. This is not a problem that legalization is going to bring. This is a problem that exists now and has existed for a number of years. And it's not only with cannabis, it's with a variety of drugs. It's with opioids, which are heavily consumed, and you know the issues that come with opioids. And so we do have, law enforcement has drug recognition experts. They do have standardized fuel sobriety testing. They have a drug impaired driving legislation, and we need more. And law enforcement certainly needs more. Everyone has been aware of this legislation for the past 2 or more, or close to 3 years, that it was going to come in place. So there's been a lot of preparation, but there's certainly much left to do.
What other advice would you give to the government now about making sure that that this is done as effectively as possible?
So a lot of the heavy lifting, Mark, is going to start now. The framework of the legislation is in place. Now provinces and municipalities need to ensure that it's done well, that there's lots of education and awareness in our schools so that our youth, and incidentally, you may know this, Canada has one of the largest youth using population of cannabis in the world.
Yeah.
And so we need to step up that education and awareness, and we need to ensure that as every move we make, we do it with safety and security in mind.
And do you think we can reduce, through legalizing the product, can we reduce the number of young people who are consuming it? Because I know a lot of people are concerned that it's going to send a signal that this is okay.
I believe that the legalization is going to, and we've always said legalize, restrict, and tightly control.
Yeah.
Things that live in the shadows, Mark, tend to not have a lot of attention paid to it. As cannabis comes out of the shadows and it's legalized, there is going to be more education and awareness. We've done a good job with our youth on drinking and driving and alcohol, but we have not done the same with cannabis. So I'm very optimistic. I'm very confident that with legalization will come a lot more conversation with our youth in schools, at home, on cannabis, and we'll have a wiser, more informed youth in Canada.
But we've got to get on that, right? The clock's ticking on that as well. We've got to make sure that that education is happening, that those public awareness campaigns are underway.
You're absolutely right, and I'm not totally happy that it's gone at the speed that it should, but it has started. I have seen it started, and we got to keep pushing.
Raf Souccar, great to hear your perspective on this. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks for having me on, Mark.
Raf Souccar is the CEO of Aleafia Health, which is a medicinal cannabis company, former deputy commissioner of the RCMP, who was appointed to the Trudeau government's task force on legalization. Again.